Hello, everyone. We are back. Today we are having some interesting issues. And I guess it's almost like a test. It's almost like universe doesn't want us to talk about this topic, right? It's almost like the chemistry right now is just going against each other. It's like, no, don't bring it up. The world is not ready for that. But actually, it should be brought up. It definitely should be brought up. So let me just carry on with the journey, as I was saying, about what was happening in my life in terms of masculinity and femininity.
Yeah, I was going to stop you there for 1 second. I was going to tell you a little story
Sure.
that happened the other day. And you talked about, women not allowing the man to fail, basically,
Yes.
right? That's what you're talking about in your examples on your own relationships, because a woman's smarter. And you know what? Good chance she is. Right? Right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But you still got to let the man fail, because that's where he becomes wise too. Men are slower learners. It says that a man's brain doesn't fully develop till 23, 24, 25 years old, right? So at 18 years old, we feel like we're totally developed,
Yes.
right? And yet we know now that we're not, right? And we know as we get older, we definitely weren't, right? And so I had a situation the other day with my daughter. She wasn't doing a whole lot that day. She had a later night out with her cousins and that kind of stuff. And she's just sitting around in the house, sleeping in bed and that kind of stuff. And I says, listen, I said, let's do a little bit of gardening this afternoon, right? And she said, no, I'm not doing it. And I got mad and I yelled at her. I was like, that's not going to happen here. I'm not asked a lot. I have a nanny here cooking, cleaning, all that kind of stuff. So I don't ask a lot, but you're going to help with that.
Yeah.
And I said, get out of my house. Like, I was just like straight up with her. And then, after that happened, I felt bad about it. And I went out to her and I apologized. I said, listen, I said, I don't ask a lot from you. I says, if you're busy doing stuff, I won't bother you anyways. But if you're doing nothing all day, I'm going to talk to you. But the point is, a lot of times the woman would never let me fail like that, right? And that failure creates the connection that I need to have with my daughter, right? So anyways, I just wanted to put that little piece in there because it kind of speaks a little bit to what you're talking about before with your examples you had in your parents or grandparents' relationships, right?
Totally.
But not allowing them to fail.
100%. Yes. And what you brought there is a perfect example that even at your age right now, when you have actually a teenage daughter, you still realize that you have done something wrong and you went back and you apologize. So what you're showing to her, and this is amazing. I love that. You're showing to her that, look, it's okay for men to understand and made a mistake. And it's okay for men to come back to a woman and apologize. And how do you deal with that? And this is the most beautiful example what she can see in her real life with her dad about how relationships should be built, because she's going to take that and she will apply that in her relationships.
100%. Because these are the examples that women are going to get, right? Yeah. From father, right? And the point is to everybody else out there. Yeah, you maybe never had that relationship, right? Maybe you didn't have that good connection. But it's time to forgive, to love your father the way he was, and to move on.
Yes.
Right? Or your bad ex-boyfriend or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of us don't have bad intentions. I know good men that never could learn how to connect at the heart level for the daughter, but were amazing providers and amazing protectors, right? Because that was in the past what the definition was for a good man.
Yes.
If you were a good provider and good protector, like, you were a man.
Yes.
There's a little bit more of a conscious awakening that men need to deliver today. And the problem is we're actually taking the responsibilities away from the man. We're taking the responsibilities away from the man. Now the woman can cook, she can clean, she can work, she can make the money, she can raise the kids, she can do it all. Oh, congratulations.
Yes.
Now you just found a guy that doesn't have to do squat all. Enjoy your life.
Do you need a guy in that case? There we go. Good question.
But then the question I have for every woman, why are you looking for a man?
Yeah.
Right? Because there's something more. You're looking for a man.
Exactly.
Anyways, go back to your story there, Olga, if you don't mind. I just remember
Valuable, of course. No, no. I think it would be quite valuable for people to know. And I also want actually those people who joined us. I can see Maria. She's saying hello, hello also, and also Aya Kant, hello as well. So those who just joined us, what we're discussing here today is the lessons about masculinity and femininity. And I'm just disclosing my story, what happened to me actually, and it was quite fascinating journey from me seeing my grandma and my mom being very strong women and ruling in everything in the family, to me questioning myself whether that's normal or not. And all of us, we actually learn from our parents. But I was rebelling against that. I didn't want to be like my mom because in my mind, I thought, because my love language is gifts and presents, which I found out later on in my life. But in my experience, I was thinking, well, if I want to receive flowers and my man doesn't have any money because I keep all the money, just like my mom and my grandma, how he can ever buy me flowers, right? And then if I will do the same thing with my mom and my grandma does to a man, saying they're always wrong, they never do things right, how they can ever try their best? They can't, because the masculinity is killed right there at the spot because you again did it wrong. So to me, I was just questioning myself and I started this journey of learning. But again, I was a girl who was quite angry because my stepfather, he didn't look at me as just daughter. There was more to him. And that made me very angry. And that was lots of hate towards men. And as a result, I was quite masculine with them. I didn't want to accept help. I could never ask for help. I could never allow them to open the door. And for me, that was such a journey to learn that I don't have to be the angry girl. I can heal myself. I can really understand myself, and I can just forgive everything what happened. And I can just let it go and start rebuilding myself. And David, that was such a journey. And, especially when I grew up without having a dad because my dad died before I was born. Now we have this daddy syndrome, right? When girls constantly looking for attention. And I had to deal with that as well. So, becoming more feminine, that was a journey. But I mean, everybody.
And my question would be, do you feel weaker or stronger?
No, I don't feel any weaker. No, I must say that this is a strength. And I look at that this is a strength. You don't have to be weak. You don't have to be incapable of living life and doing your own things. You don't have to be incapable of going and earning your money. It's not about that. It's about being more feminine in terms of being aligned with femininity. And when you're next to a man, yeah, exactly who you are deep inside. And then when you're next to a man, allowing men to be masculine enough. And it's not about, I will decide when you are masculine, when you're not. No, but sticking to who you are, being feminine, being soft, being caring, being loving. And this is a challenge as well.
Right.
Sometimes you get burned.
So go and your grandmother talking about, men don't know and they're stupid and incapable of looking after money and those kind of things. I had a story real recently. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she has a good father. He's a protector, he's a provider, but never was involved in her life in like any experiences through college, university, school, all that kind of stuff. Never connected to an emotional level. And she's having a real struggle because she loves the masculine man, the macho type guy. But then she's finding a spot in her life that she's missing through all these relationships, where she's not getting fulfilled. And she's not connecting with her heart in a level that's necessary. And the interesting part is, as I took her through this journey, what she found out was that subconsciously, she was looking for a man similar to her father. Yeah. Subconsciously. Yeah. Consciously, she was wanting something different, but she didn't know what I was looking for, what it was. But I said to her, I says, say if men, out of the macho guys out there, only 20% of them knew how to be both vulnerable and a macho guy. If they had both those cues, which I think are very, very important, for a good relationship. Say if only 20% was that. The point is right now, it's like Tony Robbins does this quiz, you've heard about it, is that, you go look around, see what's all red, close your eyes
Yes.
and then tell me what's spelled brown, and you don't remember anything. I said, so I talked to her about it. If she could first, like as we talked about, forgive and love her father for the
Yes.
amazing guy that he is and was and done for her. That'd be number one to do. And then it started attracting and loving. I said, how long have you actually opened up and loved on the guys that were both macho and gentlemen? Because they're not appreciated any more than the straight macho guys. They're not, and they should be.
Mm. Mm.
Right? When do you start loving on those type of guys? And what do you think you're gonna start attracting?
Mm.
What the thing is, 20% of all the macho guys are gentlemen. That's a lot if your view is only that,
Yes.
right? If you're looking at, all the opportunities around you, right? Like
Yeah.
if I showed you the screen, you look like, oh, it's such a beautiful spot. Look at all the beauty around it. Well, you don't see the weeds. I mean, there's a pile of weeds back there, right?
Mm.
But if you look at the beauty, you'll see the beauty. If you look for that man that's a macho and a gentleman, and you say, I love that type of guy, you start attracting those type of guys,
Yeah.
right? So, your mother and grandmother essentially were attracting the wrong guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And
And
they're doing
why?
the same thing.
And the reason why they were attracting those type of guys because they were so strong. And you see, I must say that for me there was a massive revelation when I remember when I was getting for the first time. I wasn't married 5 times, just getting married first time. I remember I was crying, absolutely crying, and I couldn't understand why. And it's so interesting how I only understood that last year. Only last year I understood why I was crying before getting married for my first time. And that was the fear. And the fear was I'm going to lose my freedom.
Right.
And that fear was based on my mom being always at home, always cooking, raising 4 children, being stuck. And my grandma being stuck. And I was always like free spirit. I didn't want to be stuck. I didn't want to cook. Right? I wanted to see the world. So for me, subconsciously, what I did, I built a story in my head that if I am married, that means I don't have a freedom.
Mm.
And then when I was looking back at all my relationships, I realized actually what I was attracting, guys who were actually very control freak because of my own belief, right? Because I have to lose my freedom when I get married. And as a result, I will attract those type of guys.
And what are you attracting now?
Pardon?
And what are you attracting now?
None of that. I mean, not
What are
even.
you attracting?
Pardon?
Tell me the type of guys you are attracting.
What is really interesting, it's approval of what is in the head. Masculine, very open, and also vulnerable. And this is really interesting. And I don't mean only in terms of guy, because right now people probably are thinking it's only in terms of, your intimate relationships. When you think about people in general, right? When you think about men, that they are masculine, when you think about men, that they are actually, weak or they're idiots or whatever, or about girls, that they are bitches and everything else, you attract those type of people within your friendships, within your business partners, within your, associates and everybody else, right? So the people who actually are in my life right now, as male who are in my life right now, in one shape or form or another, are open, spiritual, which is really interesting, right? Because people always say men are not spiritual. Oh no, they are, absolutely. Openly, they can talk openly. And we talk about so many different topics. Masculine, strong, successful. And this is what happens when you change your perspective about man or woman. And that was my journey. And it's quite fascinating, David, how, it's not only about intimate relationships. It's about general attraction to what you attract when you have an opinion, a story in your head about man or woman. And this is so sexy. This is so powerful, but people don't understand it.
100%. I mean, I couldn't agree more. It's impressive. When I look back to where I was before and where I'm today on the whole process.
Yeah.
I realized that, I've talked to friends before, like, that girl you're with, she seems like a really good girl. Like, I'm like, yeah, no, she is. I says, they're all marriage material. And it's truthful. I mean, I mean, I think sometimes I'm an idiot sometimes, when I don't, settle down and marry one of these girls. I mean, obviously I'm looking for something specific, right? But the truth is that no, they are. And it's because, like you said, over time, just being who you are, right?
Yeah.
The other girls aren't attracted to me anymore. And I always tell people, like, guys, someone like, oh, when you like when you know how to communicate, all the girls are gonna love you, all that kind of stuff. It's like, no, it's bullcrap. You
Exactly.
know, it's only a small portion that's gonna like you, but that's okay.
Yes.
You don't want all of them.
No, nobody wants all of them. Exactly. This is so fascinating. I like how Diana, what she says, this is a nice, challenging discussion. I love it. Oh, thank you, Diana. It is. And that's the reason why we brought it up, because people don't want to face it. People don't want to talk about that. But what she says here is, my favorite quote is, the greatest thing you will ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. And this is so true. She says also, this is such a journey, and opening up to love is such a much bigger journey than most of us realize. So many layers in this onion. This is so true.
Yeah. We talked about this other thing actually recently, about that part, loved and being loved.
Yes.
We talked about the God-given nature in women to please her man. You
Yeah.
know, it's like guys, they have, I don't know this, but I've heard this, and women say this, that guys have their game, or they want this, they want sex, or whatever, and there's some game to play. That's bull crap.
Mm.
When you have enough yourself and you give without needing anything in return, you don't have to worry about your lady in your life. She'll give.
Yes.
She'll give. You don't have to. You don't have to worry about that stuff, right? If you're the right guy and you're with the right woman, right, that don't have all those other issues. And don't get me wrong, we have issues too if we don't deal with it,
Yeah.
right? If we didn't deal with issues that I had with my father or so forth, if we didn't deal with them, of course, men are gonna equally gonna have issues. But yeah, going back to that, yeah, of course, we all want to be loved and give love. But as far as guys are concerned, the message I would give out there is first deal with your crap,
Yes.
give yourself enough love, spend enough time for yourself, and then give to the woman as the beautiful creature that she is. I guess get a little diversified a little bit here. If you ever go to the club,
Right.
the guys usually standing around the edge. Not that I've been
Yes.
there before, but the guys are standing around the edge, and the girls are in the center, and they're having fun, and they're enjoying their time, and all that kind of stuff. Guys are attracted to that.
Yes.
Like that feminine energy, the light, the easy, the I don't care, the spontaneity, all that kind of stuff that women have, the emotions. We're attracted to that. But the point is that us guys got to grow up a bit
Mm.
in the level of, if you're attracted to that, there's also the negative side of the woman too that she's gonna have. But neither one is you. It's her journey.
Yeah.
And you can just enjoy both sides of that as you go through life. And it's beautiful. When a girl's crying, I don't get scared of it. It's maybe one time I did, but now it's like, what's wrong, honey? What
Which
are you working on today?
which is very unusual, which I think is very unusual, because majority cases will be guys will freak out. Guys
Right.
will step back and they will not know how to deal with that. They will not know what to do. They will want straight away to jump and go beat up somebody and go fix the problem and go do
You don't
something.
like me, or is there something I said, or is there something I've done, or is it something like this? That's what a lot of guys are thinking, right? Forget about you, man. Forget about you. It's nothing about you. It might be. We'll get down there someday. But the point is she's taking it that way today. Again, a different woman might even take it completely different,
Yeah.
right? It's how she's taking that part from you. It's nothing about you. It's how she's taking it. It could be about you, but it's really about her. And as soon as you realize it's about her, then you can be a facilitator
Mm.
of her going through that journey. Another thing, a lot of times women look for men to be their healers,
Yeah.
right? And then men want to be their hero, and all you're doing is you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yes.
right? Only other advice I give you, just be there, give her a hug, And I've also said too, and this is what happened. See, we learn, like we don't learn, but we have the opportunity to learn. A lot of times my ex was I come home and her love language was quality time. I come home and she was bitchy to me,
Right.
and I'd walk away. Now, if a girl's like that to me, I come closer. I said, listen. I says, I'm gonna stay here. I'm not running away, but I need you to stop this bitchy side.
I love that. I love that. You're just taking that space. You're being in charge. And you just, yeah. You see, that's the masculinity. Coming back and saying, there's not going to be here.
Right.
And this is so hot.
Right. I don't know, but
I think it is, because it is about, again, showing that you're not going to play these games, because girls are testing, girls are pushing. And it's like, it was really phenomenal how one client of mine, he said, well, my woman, she is German. And it's interesting how different nationalities, they have different traits, right? Yeah. And as a result, he became not feminine, but he gave up quite a lot. And we agreed with him that he's going to just test it. He will just do a little test. When next time she will be a bit bitchy, a bit testy, a bit like kind of playing all these games with him, he actually will just step up and he'll be firm. Not like violent or aggressive. No, just firm and just holding the space. And he nearly jumped into my office the next week when he said, Olga, it works. He said, I just turned around to her when she was bitching again, and I said, enough is enough. And she apologized, and she never did that before.
There you go.
But that's exactly what it is about.
See, this is I call it bitch testing. You can call it whatever you want. Women do it. Okay? Yeah. And they don't do it. Sometimes they do it consciously, but most of the time it's unconscious.
Yeah.
And it's there for a purpose to see if you're going to show up as a man.
Yes.
And two things the typical man will do. One is, if he's a macho guy that doesn't have a vulnerable side to him, or let's say he's more derogatory or immature masculinity, as some would say, he'll argue with you as to why his point is right. The beta guy will find a compromise.
Yeah.
The guy that sorry, I have a little children here.
It's okay.
You can go. I'll be there. The guy that has the masculinity, but has the connection with himself and his girlfriend and wife, he'll be okay with whatever, right? He doesn't need to argue. He doesn't need to negotiate. He's just fine. I had a situation with her once, and I knew she wasn't doing it intentionally. She says, I was taking my opinion, and she says, I don't agree with you. And I don't know why. It was just because of my growth and my experiences. I started smiling. The more I smiled, I started laughing. I was like, honey, you don't believe anything I'm saying. And it was funny. I mean, she doesn't remember it. And I personally think that it was basically a bitch test. How am I gonna respond?
Yeah.
When she says, I don't agree with what you're saying. A big guy like me and this little beautiful girl says, I don't believe what you're saying. I don't agree with it. How am I going to respond to it? Right. And there was typically only two ways.
Yeah.
And I don't, at my stage and age in life and everything in my experience, I don't care. You can believe whatever you want. Right. I don't have to defend my philosophy.
Yes. Defend your philosophy or upsell yourself. Right. And what many men do, they sell themselves. They sell how great they are, how awesome they are, how amazing marriage material they are. And women are looking at them thinking, no, thanks. And right. I can't even explain that. But what happens when man is selling himself to a woman, it just kills the chemistry. Because women will want to find out. We want to doubt. We want to question. But when
we want a guy to be able to walk away on the deal.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Right? We want a guy to walk away in the deal, and when he walks away, it's like, oh, She just,
Exactly.
oh, that's a little crazy. This guy, he's got something going on, right? And that's the truth. You got to be able to walk. You got to be able to walk, right? I mean, at the beginning of the relationship, afterwards, of course, you can't walk. But at
Sure.
the beginning of the relationship, yeah, definitely, definitely,
Yeah.
right.
But again, talking about the beach testing, what I wanted to add there, the reason
Mhm.
why many women beach test men subconsciously, because again, it's all about checking out if this is the best species, right? If this is the best man, if this is the right marriage
100%.
for me, right? If this is the right partner who actually can reproduce and can just have children together, right? If this is the right partner who will look after me, if I'm going to be safe with him, if I'm going to be protected. So I think there are two things actually here. One will always do that. And they will do it until they will realize actually there's no reason to beach test. You just need to know 100% what you want, and need to know 100% yourself.
I
And
think they'll always bitch test a little bit. They'll just bitch test less. You see, you talked about, what type of guy he is. See, someone's gonna bitch test you all day long. You don't think I get that at work as being a boss at work? Of course I get that.
yeah,
If people are gonna test it, where's the limit? Where's the limit with you? Where's the line,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And 100%, a woman's gonna test it out because she knows that somebody else is gonna test it out. And are you gonna stand up? Where's your values? Where's your principles? Where's all those things?
yeah.
If you're gonna have values and principles with me, you'll have values and principles with somebody else,
There we go.
right? And so she's looking for that. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, guys get upset with it. There ain't nothing wrong with it. It's good. She's just checking you out, man.
Yep, exactly. Just stand strong and be yourself. Be yourself and just show up that, you know what, I'm a man. You can push me, but I'm going to show you the limit. And
Right.
we want to see the limit. It's just like children. They need to know boundaries. And that's what they push all the time.
Oh, women love this stuff. Women, oh yeah, I love that. I love that. I wasn't gonna think about that. No, 100%. No, 100%. And how does it make you feel when you find your limit with a guy?
Oh, it's so hard. I mean, this is so hard. It's like, wow, all right, am I just about to cross the line?
Yeah.
Go there.
You need to be tied up, eh?
Yeah, it's the feeling when actually they show you that no, this is better. You don't go there. Don't you go there? And then you know that this is dangerous, and yet you still want to play with the fire.
Yeah, of
You still
course.
want to play with the fire once in a while.
Yeah.
It's a bad guy standing strong and saying no.
Yeah.
And
I love
this is so hard. I mean, this is so hard. But again, it's such a journey. Like for me, it was a journey, David. From an angry girl to girl who hates man, who's very revengeful to man, to falling in love with myself, loving myself, accepting myself, respecting man, and then highly respecting men, and then becoming more feminine. And I wouldn't say people can be 100% feminine and masculine. It's still a journey, and I believe so. I'm still on my journey, right?
Of course.
But what about you? Because you went on such a journey yourself. How did you become from who you were before, agreeing with your wife and walking away from quite tense situations to being a boss right now? Was it easy?
No, it's not. And you know what? I'll say to any guy out there, I feel for you.
Mm.
I really do. And the reason why I feel for you is because I struggled at it. And listen, I live in the country. I drive tractors. I'm a farmer. I drive transports. I'm a boss for a few different companies. I have 30 employees. And I had to find my bull crap.
Yeah.
I had to find my masculinity myself. I had to find that. Now you take a guy that lives in an apartment or in a small house in the city that doesn't have, trees to cut down and things that masculine guys need to do. Like I'm telling you, if you want to find your masculinity, go out in the woods for a while, go cut down some trees, go do that kind of stuff. And when you come back, you're gonna feel like a bit of a boss, right? You're gonna feel a bit of a boss, and do that enough time, and go with your guy friends. Do some things that are a little reckless. I say there's two things that guys love to do: destroy stuff and build stuff.
I love that.
Right? I go with my friends, and they're trying to wreck stuff. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Right? These guys are farm kids, right? And so their masculinity, that's why, go places like bars and clubs, people work in their more primal state, right? And which is kind of cool place to watch people in their primal state. You'll watch it. Men are walking around like they're tanks, and women are like, I'm the girl, and all this bull crap, right?
True.
And you watch all this bull crap that's coming out. The thing is that this is the part that comes that I look at the whole feminine story, and I call it out on it, is because as much as I wanted to believe it at one point in time, as much as I wanted to believe in all the equality, how they see it, the truth is it's never going to happen because our primal state is something totally different.
Yes.
I don't go check to see if my doors are all locked when I go to bed. I freaking don't care.
Just can't believe it.
Right?
Seriously. And I'm freaking out. I'm checking my door twice before I go to sleep. I
Right.
want to make sure I'm safe.
Right. Right. So there's such a difference that we don't understand, us men, and women don't either, how different we are. And so, yes, I mean, I kind of gave you the broad. It's difficult. It's difficult in this generation. In this generation where you got computers, technology, Wi-Fi, all your work's a lot done time in the office. You don't get the experience of the ruggedness of the terrain and the bush and the forest and the hunting and all that kind of stuff. You don't get that a lot of times. Most people aren't experiencing that in their society. How are they ever going to show up as a strong masculine man? Like, I think about the one story of my friend. He goes out in the wilderness with his gun and a knapsack and hunts out there and lives off the wilderness for 20 days, and he comes back.
Yes, I can
I
do
was just saying that the polarity, polarity is so important, and Tony Robbins would speak about that.
Yes.
The biggest thing that he says that marriages fall apart is not because of lack of love,
Yes.
but because of depolarization. It's one of the most famous things that I ever hear from Tony is that one. To think about it, marriages are falling apart these days, not because of lack of love. You just heard about loved and being loved. Of course, we want that, but the depolarization is what's failing most marriages. If you told me that saying 5 years ago, I say you're crazy.
Mm,
Love is necessary. I
yeah.
said, what's frick's sakes? What's about depolarization? What about masculine, feminine energy, all that kind of stuff? I would say that's bull crap. I would have said that 5 years ago. That's all I need is love that person. But I realize it's much more deeper than that.
Mm-hmm. It is, and unfortunately, not many people know about that. And again, it was such a journey for generations in general to go from the post-war times when there were not many men and women had to become more masculine. They had to go out there and provide for families and work, and their man would be probably half disabled or completely disabled back home, if any man at all, right? Because many men died. And then generations grown up on seeing women being so strong. Generations were there of strong, powerful women who had to be just masculine, and they had to probably go and change light bulbs and do these little works around the house or anywhere else, just to continue the family, continue the life really. And what we see now, as you said, men and women, they go back to office, they do the same work. Yes, they do have this gender equality at work, and they bring that back home. But it's not the place where to bring it back. It's definitely not the place where to bring it back. I mean, when it comes to women, I strongly believe if you want to be a strong woman, go and be a strong woman. Go and build businesses and be masculine, be strong, be a leader, be the lady boss. Nothing wrong with that. Because everybody has a bit of masculinity and a bit of femininity. Just like with guys. If guys are always strong, if they never drop their vulnerability, they have anger issues. And I work with those guys. I work with those guys who become angry. They punch doors. They break walls because they're angry, because it builds up. So
you didn't get rid of your testosterone. You didn't use your masculine energy in the proper way. And then your women's bossing you around. Of course you freaking want to blow the door down. I've been there, right? I've been there. Like, of course you feel like that. So get out there, be a boss, and then come home and be a boss there. But you got rid of your testosterone drive that you need to get rid of, right? But anyways, going back to the whole thing about that journey of polarity and that kind of stuff. It is. I would say it was the biggest journey, and you talked about the journey of the women's, doing more of the work and that kind of stuff. It's all good. What I've noticed though more in our civilization now is that men and women are looking for that great marriage, that great relationship, that great partner. But the biggest problem I see now is that they're not willing for a crappy relationship, but they're also not willing to